Hello, everyone, and welcome to Honey Badger Radio. My name is Brian. I'm here with Allison, and this is another episode of Maintaining Frame. This is Maintaining Frame number 118. Men are not more logical, they simply lack empathy. And if you are looking at this face on the screen here, you know who it is we're responding to. So hold on to your butts. It's going to be a wild ride.
So right off the bat, this is false. This claim is false. That men have less empathy than women. The latest studies are out, or study is out, like one of the most comprehensive done to date, and the answer is no. And we'll cover that later. Like, we'll show you the study after we view the thought philosophical witterings of this marvelous individual.
Oh yeah, I gotta check something here. Hold on a second. Turn down the
And just so you
desktop
know,
audio.
I finally figured out what was wrong with my microphone. Apparently this Shure microphone, this is the USB port, which really shouldn't be in my hand. It should be in the microphone. But today it finally gave up the ghost and popped out. Apparently this was the fly in the ointment. So I have to use this microphone, which is completely different, and get a replacement for the Shure microphone, which is going to be fun. Or alternatively, I have to use the MIDI cable, which will also be fun. So anyway, that's what's happened today. That's why we started late today. Hopefully we'll start more on time as these issues get solved, but maybe they're just ongoing and forever. Anyway, so that's what happened, yeah. So I'm in just the right frame of mind to deal with failures,
Like this one.
like this one.
All right, so before we get into the video, you probably have some things to think, so I will sit quietly while you do that.
Yeah, so I have set up the monthly fundraiser. I know this is right on the heels of the meetup fundraiser, and I apologize for that, but there's nothing you can really do about it. So if you want to support the show itself and not just the meetup, which is a go, and Mike is also coming, Dr. Randomer Cam, because just on that last Friday, we got the full thing funded. So thank you to everyone who supported, and that means Mike can come out too. And so if you want to join us, that will be Calgary, Alberta, Canada, September 28th. So in about less than 2 weeks now. So you got to hustle. And it's going to be Mike, Brian, Mike, Dr. Randomer Cam, Brian, myself, Karen, and Prim all together in the same room.
And Lindsay's going to be there, and JoJo's going to be there. JoJo's probably the real star, though. Let's be real.
What about Scipio?
Yeah, sure. He's like, the George to our Jerry. Worlds are colliding, Jerry.
I was gonna say Butch to Sundance. Okay, never mind.
Oh, Butch Cassidy to this, yeah.
Yeah, okay, but regardless, whatever arrangement of buddy versus protagonist our dogs are, they will be there as well. And my husband will be there, for those of you who are fans of his. Not very many, but there are a few. So Jonathan will be there. But so basically the whole gang except Hannah, because Hannah is sick and also very busy. So it feels like we'll probably need a whole year to plan if we want to bring Hannah up.
Yeah.
And so anyway, there you go. If you want to come and say hi and have a conversation with us, throw a pie in our face, maybe not that last one. The details are at feedthebadger.com/events. 2 weeks from now, September the 28th, Calgary, Alberta.
Yes, and it is. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No. Go ahead. Feel free. I shall leave the runway.
Well, I was just gonna say. Somebody in the chat said a JoJo and Scipio meet and greet. So I was like, yes, that's what I was just gonna say. Confirmed. Yes.
Oh, and also Borat. Most likely Borat will be there as well, but not Kevin. Kevin apparently doesn't travel well. So there will also be Borat. Maybe if that goes well, Kevin might come down in a future year, and then we'll have all four of the canine companions. But not the cats though. Although I don't know if there are many fans of the cats.
Yeah.
My cats. All right, so feedthebadger.com/events to just keep track of where that's at. And if you want to support the show, feedthebadger.com/support. Very much appreciated. We do have to get that fundraiser done as well. Always a little tricky in a month that we have to get an event funded. But I trust you guys. I know that this is important to you and to make sure that we continue to be able to do this work. So once again, feedthebadger.com/support to do that. And if you want to send us a message at any time throughout the show, feedthebadger.com/justthetip. It's feedthebadger.com/justthetip. You get the full benefit of sending your comment not through YouTube's comment. I need a new way of describing it. Comment interpretive dance. How's that?
Does it have to take so long? Like, could it be their soft censorship, their hate speech filter? I don't know.
Because it doesn't really filter hate speech; it just enables it. But anyway,
no, but I mean that's
just the tip.
Their definition of hate speech. It does,
yeah,
which is basically everything that disagrees with them.
Yeah, exactly. Everything that disagrees with the global corporate agenda.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so feedthebadger.com/justthetip. We get the full benefit of whatever funds you send, and you get the full benefit of your comment not being sent through YouTube, whatever you want to call it. What's it? The YouTube What's It system. Okay, let's get into it. Let's get stuck in.
All right, let's play some of the video. Here we go. This is the first time code, the intro, basically.
On today's episode, we are talking about how it's not women's intuition, it's intelligence. Like, let me say that again. It's not women's intuition, it's intelligence. And how making that mental recategorization of calling women's intuition actual intelligence will help you and the women around you gain the audacity to share your thoughts and advocate for yourself and other women. We have a lot to cover, but before we get into it, I need you to hit the...
Well, that's basically the gist. So she's basically claiming that women are not, they don't use intuition, they're just smarter. So they're just logical creatures. As we all know, completely logical. All right.
Well, okay, I think there's a deeper conversation to be had about logic and types of intelligence. I doubt that we're going to be having it with this individual.
Right.
Of unique intelligence.
No, I think this is just the claim. This is just the claim. Yeah.
Well, yeah, this is the claim. Just the claim that basically women, or apparently women, are more logical, or not more logical, or equally logical, but also more empathetic.
More empathetic, more intelligent, more resourceful, more logical, and have a better intuition. Is basically they're just better people. I don't know if you guys know this, but women are just better people.
And you can, and of course, the reason why women have more empathy is because
don't have it.
Aren't really human.
Yep.
You know, that they don't. There's nothing that women need to feel empathy for. That's why they have more empathy, because they don't expend it on anyone. It's like, you know, a frugal person has more money. Women have more empathy because they never use it for anyone but themselves. Okay, yeah, that's
what.
No, I'm just I'm astounded at my own misogyny.
All right, let me jump to the next. Yeah, go ahead.
But honestly, like, if there was a point in time that I would ever have not gone on this path to being this hardened, cynical, bitter, angry bitch, it would have been at the beginning when I first realized the depth of the problem when it came to sexual and domestic violence for men. And I thought, oh, wow, this is really important. I'm sure that if I bring this to the attention of feminists, they'll realize it's just an oversight and correct it. I'm sure everything is all above board and everyone's an honest actor in the domestic violence and sexual assault services sector. Surely they understand that it's important to bring attention to male victims of these very, very terrible crimes. Can you imagine what I was like then? 20 years later. Fuck them all.
All right. All right.
Okay,
Let's
let's do
play
it.
some more of the video. Here we go.
Free. No, like philosophy is being able to think for yourself about your reality, your existence, the meaning of your life. So this issue of philosophy being gatekept from women actually runs much deeper than you think. Whether you believe it or not, the historical treatment
What?
of women.
So philosophy was gatekept from women. Like
Thoughts.
women
Men-
were gatekept out of thinking.
Men gatekept women's thoughts.
Yep.
And this isn't pathological. Like how many subscribers, how many viewers does this get? And nobody calls out and says, Manifestelle, what are you even talking about?
50,000 views, and all the women are like, "Oh my
How
God,
would-
I do feel gatekept out of my own brain." Or they bring up, maybe, I don't know. If I'm being like, let's try to steel man this, okay? Let's try to steal.
Okay.
Maybe it's just bad choice of words. Maybe in her mind, you had like the Acropolis, and there was Socrates and Plato and Aristotle and all these other men, and they're all standing around wearing togas, and they're like talking about existence and consciousness or whatever it is they were talking about. And a woman showed up and was like, I think I have something to contribute. And they were like, get back to the kitchen, woman. And they, whatever it is that the ancient Greek philosophers had their women do, they were like, would you please wash our togas and, adjust the threads on our sandals and get out, be gone. You have nothing to add. And that was her. She like went and she was like, oh, OMG, I've been gatekept from philosophy. And then she carved into a tablet, like all of her complaints, and then shared it like flyers, like big heavy tablets. She had guys help her do it, obviously, because she can't carry the stuff herself. And they're handing it out, and men are like, oh my God, I can't believe women are not allowed to use their brains. So that's my steel man. Is that fair?
I don't. I honestly, I'm starting to wonder if, for a good segment of the female population, they can't do something unless they're defying the man. Like they can't think unless they're smashing the patriarchy's gatekeeping their own thoughts.
Yeah.
Am I wrong? Does it not start feeling like that? It's like you can't do anything unless you're poking a guy in the eye or think you are.
All right, let's play some more of this.
Women venturing into philosophy, into higher learning, does affect us regular women in the everyday. From how we verbalize our desires, needs, and opinions to how intelligent we think we are, or other women are. Questions like, are women even worth listening to?
Nobody is stopping you from being... No one has stopped you from going into philosophy. I took... philosophy.
They let you?
Yes, they totally let me. They totally let me walk my female ass up to the philosophy department and look at all the books and read them, and nobody told me to make them a sandwich. I didn't just take philosophy. I took philosophy and logic. I took, a bunch of mathematical courses. It was free. Maybe they just thought I was a man, like most feminists. They didn't even realize.
Yeah.
They didn't realize I was a woman. If they had, they would have kicked me out. This is ridiculous. You can pick up a book at any point, Manifestelle. You can pick up a book on philosophy, read that book, and have thoughts about it. You don't need to construct a huge edifice of persecution in order to do it. This is ridiculous.
It is. Indeed. All right, let's play some more.
Or are we worthy of having a public voice? Should we even have the right to vote or make choices that impact our lives, our families, our society? All of these are a reflection of how important society deems women's thoughts and opinions are.
Wait, what? That sentence didn't make sense. Allison, you're gone. You're. Why am I not seeing your camera? Hold on a second. Hold on. Let me Your camera quality is pretty bad today. I don't know what it is I can do about that. But yeah, and you're back, but you're like your frame rate is like my computer when I'm trying to run any video game from 2006 on, which is not good.
Interesting.
So yeah, I don't know. Like it doesn't say that. Oh yeah, your internet video packet loss indicator. So we're losing packets. Your CPU is it's not mine because I'm looking at my memory. I've been monitoring it to make sure that I don't overblow. But yeah, your internet's not. Your video is kind of crap right now.
Let me see if I can try a different network.
You can do that, or you can try like a different resolution or something. Maybe that'll help. I mean, even if you have to be potato, it might be better. I don't know. Anyway, I did get a super chow while else was doing that. I did get a super chow from before that I should read. I'm also got one today, so I should read that one too. So the one good man on the 13th, which was I think Friday, sent a $5 super chow and said abortion, abortion, vagina, abortion, abortion, vagina, vagina, abortion, vagina, abortion, 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 vagina. My feminist poetry. I like that. It's like a limerick. I think that's actually better than normal feminist poetry, despite the fact that it only uses 2 words. This just goes to show how easy it is to create feminist poetry. And then I got super chow from Asthrun, who gives us, or Asthrun, or whatever, how you say it, who gives us $5. Thank you. And says, it's funny how she says how women have been gatekept out of philosophy, while historical records of the Roman era show countless female philosophers and business owners. Just because she doesn't appear in a history book doesn't mean she never existed. Well, that is kind of what this is about, though, isn't it? Okay, Allison's back. Let me see if her video is better. So I just got to paste this in and see if it pops up. Pop up, please. What's going on? There it is. Okay.
Okay, how's it going?
That's a bit. It's still really choppy, but it's a bit better. Yeah, I'm still getting red bars from you. I think it's your internet. I don't know.
Let me see.
What?
Let me try.
Are you using Wi-Fi?
No, I'm not using. Well, maybe yes. Should I?
Well, it's generally more stable if it's plugged in, but if it's like a big ordeal and you can't do it, then you can't do it.
Is this more stable?
Not really. A little bit. It hasn't completely frozen, but yeah.
Okay, well then it's not the camera. It's something.
It's your internet. Yeah.
Okay. Well.
It's the internet.
Is it really choppy or?
It's pretty choppy. Do you want to do like maybe just audio? I mean, it's not. We won't be able to make shorts with it though.
This is something I actually really want to make shorts with. I'm not exactly sure why this is going on.
Yeah.
Suddenly, I do have like satellite, so this should be really fast, or at least reasonably fast.
Are you talking about Skylink, Starlink, whatever?
Starlink. Yeah, Starlink. Let's see. Okay, I don't know if that. Okay, is the picture any more stable now, or is it still just the same?
Well, it's actually just frozen on your face, but I can hear you, but it's literally just frozen.
I have no idea why this is happening. Like, there should be no reason for it, especially if I change the video right here, like to this. There shouldn't be anything stopping this. Like, is it any better?
Let me see. Hold on. It hasn't reacted on OBS, but I see it here. It looks okay. So let me do a quick refresh of this and see if that works. So sorry about this, guys.
Yeah, sorry about it.
All right, yeah, that's way better. Yeah.
Okay, all right, then we'll have to do it this way. It might,
yeah.
Maybe it's just too much interference or something.
I don't know. Yeah, it seems better now. All right. Why am I Okay.
Oh, I
Well,
wanted
let's
to show you
play.
guys this. Like it,
Oh.
okay. Oh wait, this is not. This is some of the stuff that I had for my philosophy undergraduate. Like all the stuff that I had to read. This is just
Yeah.
a general reference book. You know, they didn't stop me from getting this stuff. So I don't know what the heck she's on about. It's just if you have an interest, it's available to you, and nobody's stopping you. Like, really, this is ridiculous. Nobody has stopped Manifestelle from having an interest in philosophy. Although I am really curious what has resulted from this apparent interest in philosophy, what her pearls of wisdom are.
Well, it's her starting point to talk about empathy, right? So I got a super chat from Zeranx. He says, someone tell Christina Hoff Sommers she was gate kept out of philosophy, considering she used to teach it in a college/university setting for $5. Thank you. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Janice Fiamengo got to take it too. Or not even, like, it wasn't even about that. Maybe she just got to use her brain to think it into existence. I mean,
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, you can also create your own philosophies, Manifestelle. I think
you
I
can
have,
manifest them, in fact. All right, let's play some more of the video then. Here we go.
Luna writes, they don't acknowledge that the skepticism of women's intellectual capacity, expressed casually and with an objective air, impacts the self-perception and lives of actual women, with they being men who belittle
over
women.
it. If this kind of thing was so true, you wouldn't dare constantly say to men that they're all a bunch of criminal rapists, murderers, and they've constructed an entire society using those criminal activities in order to maintain it. Because then that would be what they become. All right? You don't believe this shit. If you did, you wouldn't be saying these things about men. Like, think about all of the shade they throw on men, and they don't expect men to actually become the things that they say. And the other thing is that this is something that I've had a problem with most women. Some woman basically got upset at a guy because he said, if you just want to go by what men want from women, then yes, we just want cheerleaders that make sandwiches. And she was like, well, is that all I'm supposed to be then? I'm like, bitch, be something for yourself if you don't like that.
Yeah.
Like, you're perfectly capable of being something other than what people say you are. And this is like, is this womanhood? Is it is men snigger about something and then suddenly you're incapable of doing it? Like, that seems to be the starting point for me. It's like, oh, you think I can't do that? Well, if it's of interest to me, I'll try. You know, like, you won't live and die by people's opinion of you. And the irony is that you would regard men as absolutely weak and useless and dusty if they expressed this opinion that they live and die by others' opinions of them. Like, think about her. Think about what Manifestelle's attitude would be towards a man who said, well, I'm only ever what women think of me. She'd probably have utter contempt for him as a weak man. And yet she's presenting this as a reasonable way to view the world as a woman. I reject your philosophy, Manifestelle, and I substitute my own. People's opinions only matter insofar as I allow them to. It doesn't matter if men say, oh, women are so illogical, they're emotional. It doesn't matter, because women can be that way. That doesn't mean I am as an individual. That's the difference. Be an individual. Individuate. Stop regarding your attributes as being like a manifestation of the hive mind. Oh, well, I get the brain cell this Wednesday, ladies. I get the brain cell. Oh shit! Did my video disappear?
No, but you did freeze. Hold on. Let's try to. I'm gonna try and refresh it again. Hold on. In the meantime, you need to get an Ethernet cable and connect it directly to the internet, so this doesn't happen.
Here's the question: this wasn't happening before. Why is it happening now?
I don't know computers, but
yeah,
I don't know what else it could be. Like, I'm just saying, I don't know. I'm suggesting that if you can get an Ethernet cable and just connect that way when you do the show, just to make sure you're getting the most out of your internet. Because if Jonathan's doing stuff online, then it's
No,
eating.
I'm in a completely different location.
Okay.
This is the only thing the internet is doing right now at my location. And
Well, I don't
if I
know.
look, let me do a speed
I mean, I'm not
test.
making. I'm just letting you know. It's kind of out of my hands. But this is what it
I
is.
know it's
So
out of your hands. I'm just saying that
yeah,
this is okay. So my upload
it's
speed, my
yeah.
upload speed is megabit per second. So,
What the?
like a video at this level.
Say what?
That like a video should work for 6 megabits to upload. Just a second.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Allison left again. Sorry, guys. Well, let me see. What's my next time code? I might as well just get ready. Well, there's 2 more in here, and then I'm jumping ahead to a section where she calls it the mental load of women. And then there's privilege and philosophy, the beauty myth and its impact. I don't know what that has to do with anything, but I'm sure she'll make it make sense, at least somewhat. Yeah. Allison dropped out completely. She'll be back. Yeah, she's got like red bars, so I don't think it's me. I'm looking at my computer's memory. I actually did a lot of work over the weekend trying to like optimize everything when I do streams because my computer is sweating like James Brown. And I think now it's like able to manage, and I'm good on memory. And actually, Brave browser is using more memory than OBS, which is kind of amazing because OBS is usually the thing that's like pushing it to the limit. Allison's back. Give me a second. Let me see how it looks. It's not really how it looks in the preview window that matters. It's how it looks in OBS when I connect the browser source to it. So there she is. And it looks good. All right. Let me raise your volume a little bit again. Okay. Say something.
Something.
All right. That's a bit better.
Okay.
It's still, I don't know. It is what it is. We'll just have to deal with it.
My volume is low or something?
No, I raised you up. I raised you up. It's okay. All right.
Okay.
So there's 2 more time codes. There's 20 seconds left in this one, and then I got the next one, and then I got a couple of others.
Philosophy. And we've talked about this countless times in the Spoiled Girly support group. Like, we don't need to teach women how to be confident because women are born confident. Like, we have so much to be confident about. But what we do need to teach women is how to handle the consequences of their confidence.
That's like writing flaws for like a character in a young adult novel. What are her flaws? Well, she's too confident sometimes.
Okay. Didn't you just get through telling us that if men say something, then you're unable to go against them? That certainly sounds like confidence to me.
Yeah.
Like that these insinuations.
Well, she says that they're
women
born
have-
confident. It's natural. So they just have to learn how to deal with the consequences of their
confidence is an ability. You know that women tend to have this sort of interesting way of thinking about their effects of their actions. So she's regarding confidence as an ability, as something inherent, right? No, it's due to effort. And the reason why I point that out is when people attribute their successes to ability, or so that their successes to effort and their failures to ability, it is actually paralyzing. So men generally attribute their failures to effort and their successes to ability. And that's actually probably the way to go, because if you think about it, when you fail and you attribute it to effort, what do? You put forth more effort. If you attribute it to ability, like women do, then you are paralyzed. But if you attribute successes to ability, then you're basically attributing it to something outside of your hands. And your ultimate achievement is going to be more about how you deal with failure than success. And this is something that I think that sort of escapes a lot of women, especially the women in her audience. So don't attribute confidence to ability, attribute it to effort. You'll get a lot further.
Yeah,
All right.
that's fair. Okay, so let's play the next clip.
And I've gotten some pushback on that too. Like, oh,
What about XYZ circumstance where this advice doesn't apply?
like, okay, then it's not about that then. Okay, like, what about this? What about that? Then it's not about that. Okay, like, I swear, like, the no-nuance Nellies are the bane of our existence
So
because
if you're
instead
wrong, you're right.
Yeah, like if you point out that this idea doesn't apply in every instance, then that still makes you wrong because suddenly we're not talking about that. We're talking only about her experience. Is this just the way that women like this argue, where it's like, I feel this way about this thing, and you're like, yeah, but that doesn't mean this thing is a problem. I think it is because I feel this way about it. But here's all the data that shows that it's not. Well, that's just you. That's just that instance. That doesn't mean anything to me. You know, you're a nuanced Nelly or whatever it is that she just said. So, all right. Let me go to the next thing here. Unless you want to say anything else about this, and you want to make, well, we should leave some time for the these other things that you sent me, like the study. But okay, yeah. So we're gonna jump ahead to the mental load of women, because of course this is a problem because women have like a mental load. Men are labor and men are risk, as she says, right? So let's go here.
philosophy hasn't done us any favors. As women, it's not solely on us to demand society spaces to be more inclusive, but if we ourselves stay stuck in this harmful thinking that we don't deserve to be here or that we don't deserve to be heard, these spaces will never feel welcoming. Now, let's get into another issue, and this issue is how women's occupation is to be occupied by her husband and children.
Oh boy, here we go. Just shitting on married people again. Very exciting stuff.
Hannah Luna asserts that a barrier to women's engagement in philosophy is a rather obvious byproduct of patriarchy, which is that women have been kept from engaging in creative passions or philosophy by default because we carry the burden of housework and childcare. In other words, a woman's occupation is to be occupied by her husband and children.
So patriarchy kept women from... Wait, are you trying to talk?
I don't know where's she going with this.
Patriarchy keeps women from pursuing a fulfilling life of philosophical pursuits, because she's too busy, occupied with the husband and children.
Well, first of all, I doubt the husband is really that much of an occupation, especially in previous eras. He probably was very much occupied with running the parts of the farm that required the amount of physical strength that required, or the parts of the business that required, you know, that particular expertise or strength. Like, I'm not sure what she's like. Also, most people didn't engage in philosophy. Like,
Yeah, most people were just busy doing crap.
Yeah, or they're just busy surviving. I mean, I don't know. They make vague statements about all of history. Be more specific. What part of history are you talking about? Are you talking about the 1950s when mechanized servants essentially turned a household, running a household, into a part-time job in which you could definitely fit in all kinds of philosophical endeavors if you wished? Like seriously, it went from a 6-day-a-week 12-hour-a-day job, then you apply all of the mechanization, the laundry machine, the dishwasher, the indoor plumbing, the central heating, the electricity for lighting, all of the things that women used to have to provide for the home suddenly are being provided by utilities and machines, and you take that job 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, and it's now 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. Plenty of time, especially when you're considering that, you know, you have public schools, which at the time weren't that bad. You know, you could send your kid when at the age of 6 to a public school, 5 if you wanted them to go to kindergarten. if you want to pursue that, you have time. You now have time to do all kinds of philosophy. In response to women's bonus time, women's leisure time, did television create the philosophy channel? No. It created the Lifetime channel. It created soap operas. It created radio dramas. It created huge amounts of light reading, all kinds of entertainment. Why do you think that women's entertainment dominates daytime TV? Because women had leisure time at that time to be entertained. Okay? That's where all that came from. So the question is, like, what was wrong with that? And in exchange, you are preoccupied by a man who most likely took care of himself for the most part. Occasionally, I guess you had to be affectionate towards him because presumably he's your life partner and you're supposed to actually like that person to some degree. But mostly it would have been maybe your kids. But, that was still a time where kids were expected to do chores and be somewhat self-reliant. They're not quite as hothouse mothered as they are now.
Well, they're just part of the workforce.
Yeah, well, but I'm talking about the 50s. So they might not be part of the workforce. So now they're starting to be more at home with their mom, which was very different. But, you had plenty of time. But you didn't have the philosophy channel, right? You didn't. You had soap operas. That's what you occupied your extra time with. So, are you going to be like, oh, wow, that's just because of men?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Why not blame men?
Why not? That we haven't tried that a billion times.
Yeah. All right, shall we move on? Let's.
How's the video?
It's much better. I don't know what you did, but seems to be working. All right, I'm gonna play the video. There we go.
Penaluna puts it, philosophy was an expensive activity. To have the leisure to get lost in abstractions and ponder the nature of the universe, a philosopher could not spend his days worrying about dinner, laundry, or the incessant demands of a young child. Where did his freedom come from?
Oh my God, are you freaking kidding me?
That's exactly what I said, except I was muting. Lady, men in the 1950s, women had.
I'm
more
sorry,
leisure
madam.
time.
I can't mow the lawn. I have to think about existence. I'm gonna go into my cave now. See you in 40 days after I've sufficiently fasted.
What the cynic? I think it was Diogenes. How do you?
Yeah, I know. I know. I don't want to butcher
with a bunch of dogs. Like what? These philosophers weren't living the life. A lot of them were ignorant bums. Like, if that's okay, if you're okay with that, lady, living in a barrel with a bunch of dogs, then go ahead. Like, what are you even talking about? But again, women had incredible leisure time a couple generations ago in the 50s. You could have done anything with it, ladies. Anything. And what did you do? What did women create out of the 50s?
Feminism?
Like, this is it. This is what you did with your leisure time. This is what you chose to do with it. And then basically you said, well, this is oppression of women. Never do it again, guys. Men gave women in the 1950s the most amount of leisure time of any large group of people in all of human history, and women have never forgiven them for it. Never. And possibly never will.
Yep. All right. I want to read this. So let me play the rest of it, and then I'll read it.
Oh,
You
by
need
the way,
good
guys.
luck, said one ancient philosopher, and not to have been born a woman, said another.
All right. Just so you guys can hear how ridiculous this is. Somebody wrote this, therefore I guess it's it's by Regan Penaluna. Probably Regan, I think that's a woman. How to Think Like a Woman. Oh my God, you can do a whole stand-up routine on this book, I bet. But anyway, philosophy was an expensive activity. Was it? To have the leisure to get lost in abstractions and ponder the nature of the universe, a philosopher could not spend his days worrying about dinner, laundry, or the incessant demands of a young child. Where did his freedom come from? You need good luck, said one ancient philosopher, and not to have been born a woman, said another, or a slave, which means women are basically slaves or really lucky men? I don't know. All right, well, you want me to play some more, or do you want to say something to that?
I am muted. No, I'm not.
Yeah, you're not muted.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm a slave. I'm like oppressed by the mute button. Not to have born a woman. I have a doubt that this is anything. But again, like, if men totally screwed you over in like 600 BC, they certainly gave you a whole bunch of leisure time in 60 AD. So, what'd you use it for? You got that leisure time, ladies. You got it. You 100% got it. What did you use it for? Okay, let's keep going.
Wasting time. Okay.
Does she
Rather
actually
be
ever talk about
overseen.
lack of empathy? Does she ever get to the point about lack of empathy, or is that just forgotten?
I didn't hear it because none of the chapters are named after empathy, but I think it's in the mental load of this section I'm in. And there's another one later that might have it. Empowerment, well, privilege and philosophy. Privilege and philosophy. But okay, let's play some more of this.
Of those tasks. It's about being the one who's in charge of making mental running lists of everything that needs to be done and when those tasks need to be done and who those tasks need to be delegated to. And a study published in the American Sociological Review describes it as the responsibility of anticipating needs, identifying options for filling them, making decisions, and monitoring progress. A recent report from the children's nonprofit Bright.
So what she's doing in this chapter is building the case that women do more mental labor than men, therefore their life is harder than men. So and also they're doing it because men lack empathy and they're not like thinking of them. So she goes into some TV stuff, but I'm gonna skip that. So let me jump ahead to this. Do you want to hear about this study? Yeah, can't hear you. Don't do anything goofy. I can't hear you still. According to this, what are your audio? Oh, now I hear you. Okay. Oh, no, I don't. It was on and then it turned off. There you go. I hear you. There you go. I hear you now.
Yeah, for some reason the Rode microphone is now fucking up.
Okay.
But
I'm getting an echo myself.
That part. Okay.
What?
That should solve the echo, right?
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
All right. So
Well-
this is going to be crappier sound because it's going through my Mac microphone. Yeah, there's no okay, so I don't know what's going on. Everything sort of is screwing up on my end. I'll try re-putting that in and seeing if it recognizes it. I'm sorry, I don't know what's, everything is just screwed up.
All right. And you did
How's that?
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
So I returned to my previous microphone, so it did
All right.
register.
So we're back at that. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so do you want to hear the study that she brought up?
Sure.
Okay. Let's play it.
Horizons paints a pretty accurate picture of this. A child's school day isn't just about the physical jobs of pickup and drop off. It's also about the perpetual mental awareness of schedules, including early release days, carpools, doctor's appointments, play dates, special events, field trips, class parties, science fairs, who needs to bring what, and which day requires special supplies. And those are only some of the items on the family list that require a working mother's constant mental presence. The mind share versus time share equation is at the heart of the mental load. The requirement on women to be not just parents and caretakers, but also unofficial keepers of where the entire family needs to be and when, and perpetual guardians against anything falling through the cracks.
So somebody made this Modern Family Index apparently to scare the crap out of women that want to be mothers. That's what I'm guessing. And it lists a bunch of stuff that I guess women just have to deal with, and there's no way around it. Like, do you want me to read that? A child's school day isn't just about the physical jobs of pickup and drop off. It's about the perpetual mental awareness of schedules, including early release days, carpools, doctor's appointments, play dates, special events, field trips, class parties, science fairs, who needs to bring what, and which day requires special supplies. And those are only some of the items on the family list that require a working mother's constant mental presence. So, and of course, you know, they say that if there's a larger mental load on women because of this, blah, blah, blah. I guess you're just going to have to balance life more. Is that just cruel of me to say?
How much of this is necessary for kids?
Not a lot.
Like,
I mean,
Like, I don't recall my mother needing to do all of this. Like, maybe once a year I had a doctor's appointment, and then the rest of the time she said, there's the door, entertain yourself. Don't play in traffic. But, you know, if you do, I'm not going to cry about it. You know, that kind of thing. Like, what are these mothers? Like, this seems to be something that has been chosen. And the other thing is that where is the mental load of being the one who's primarily responsible for paying the bills? Because men mostly still occupy that role. Even
you
when
mean
women
paying for carpools, doctors, doctor's
Yeah.
appointments, play dates, special events, field trips, class parties, the stuff for science fairs, those kinds of things, special supplies. I
Yeah.
mean,
And actually, come to think of it, my father did most of the science fair stuff and like all of the activities with me. Like, is it not possible if you don't want to do these things, you just give it to your husband? Like,
did he suffer in silence while he had to do that? Was it something that was like the last thing on his mind that he wanted to do?
well, maybe he was suffering while doing something engaging with his daughter. I don't know. He kept it to himself if he did. Seems like it wasn't that big a deal. I mean, that was sort of like it seemed like it was more fun stuff because, you know, we do like crafts and reading and all kinds of other stuff. Like I maybe my mother was particularly not interested, but she seemed to get away with not doing any of this. Like if I wasn't able to keep track of my field trips and my hobbies, I didn't get to do them. Like,
Yeah, who's
simple as
keeping
that.
track of people's hobbies? Like, what?
yeah, but
That's freaking weird.
I mean, to be fair, I lived in sort of a planned community that was, you know, it was gated in the middle of a, you know, a desert.
Oh, Saudi Arabia. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Saudi Aramco, but still, like, maybe you should keep your kids' activities to things that they can manage. You know, I mean, after a certain point, aren't they autonomous enough to do it? I mean, like, I walk around this community, I constantly see these herds of kids doing things. Not necessarily. Well, I mean, yeah, there's women's supervision sometimes. There's men's supervision sometimes, but go to a community where you can tell your kid, "There's the door. Entertain yourself." Like, is that not a possibility? Like, how much of this is chosen? And then it's so unbelievably dishonest to choose it and then blame everyone else for it. Right? Like, if you don't want to do this stuff, don't do it. I mean,
Yeah, it's like they don't want to have to ask permission or even take the initiative. They just want someone to invite them to free themselves of this. Like, oh yeah, I don't want you, you know, I don't know. It's like they're waiting for people
Did
to
your
take the
husband ask
initiative
you to do
and
it?
give you what you want. Yeah.
Did your husband ask you to do it? I'm guessing no. Like, honestly, your kids are probably better off learning to manage their own time and entertain themselves.
Especially
Then
if you don't want them
micromanaging.
depending on you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not good for the kids. How would that make you feel if your mom's like, "I'm sorry, you just have too many needs. Why did I bring you into this world then?"
But honestly, like this is it sounds like a self-made problem, but what isn't a self-made problem is being ultimately the one who has to pay the bills for everything. And that's nowhere considered. The emotional load of that isn't considered anywhere, and it is an emotional load. When you're somebody who has to make sure that bills get paid, that can be emotionally exhausting, right? Where is that in all of this? Nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And men aren't even bringing it up. It takes me, someone like me, to even bring it up and even point it out. Most men are like, "Oh yeah, I guess my wife really is doing a lot." No, wait a second. Before you listen to the Harridan, listen to me. How much are you doing? How much load are you carrying? Right? How much do you have to deal with in terms of paying bills? How much do you have to deal with in terms of stress with what are those things called?
What are you talking about?
Ah, God, the more I try to find a word, the worse it gets. Commutes, right? Dealing with having someone breathing down your neck for performance. And here's the other thing. We found during COVID that men actually focus on work when they work, right? They're single-minded about work, whereas women don't work at home. What they do is they do everything else but work because it all calls to them, right? Maybe that's why we partition things in the way that we did in the past. Ugh. And nobody considers that. Nobody considers the load of a man at work because they think, well, it's all the same as a woman, but now we know it isn't. When a man is at work, he's taking more of the mental load of the work. And we know that because when everybody was at home in COVID, men were doing their work. Women were doing their work and their chores and making play dates and checking their email and, men work, women work, and, that kind of thing. And that's something we found out. So when men are at work, they have a higher load at work. Anyway, but you know what? It doesn't have to be a competition. Who started the competition? But the truth is that if you start a competition and then you say, "Oh, the only way where this competition ends is if you lose," that's not fair. Like, women started this competition, women like Manifestelle, feminist women, all of this resentment towards men, that started the competition. And now basically, if you say, "Well, wait, why don't we look at the male side of the equation?" They're like, "Oh, you make it into a competition." No, you made it into a competition. I'm just bringing the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good Lord. But I see this all the time. Men will be just like, "Yeah, you got a point." No, she doesn't have a point. She doesn't have a point. There's no point here.
No,
I know points.
she doesn't have a point.
I know points.
No
There
points.
is none. There is none. There is none to be had here. I award you no points. We're all stupider for having listened to you. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Let's play the next bit.
Yeah,
And
sure.
in one conversation Claire has with Gloria, Claire compares the two of them and says that while Gloria lives with two adults, her husband Jay and their very mature son Manny, she has 4 children. Her 3 actual children.
Okay, I'm sorry. This is the wrong time code. She's talking about the show Modern Family, which is like not reality. But like these people always, they love their favorite thing. Oh, I saw this in a book, TV, whatever, piece of fiction. Not relevant because it's not real. So, but okay, here we go.
For help. Okay, like when we tell women that it's still their responsibility to remind their husbands to pull their weight at home, we're telling them that it is their sole responsibility to know how to run the household. That when it comes to child rearing, chores, and everything concerning the family, men and women aren't really partners. Like, men are supposed to be heads of household, but plenty of them don't even know how to run one.
Yes, that was actually common throughout all of human history. Right? That's pretty much been the deal throughout all of human history. And women didn't want men running the household because that was their thing.
Yeah, I mean, if we basically make everything men's responsibility, which is where we're headed, but let's say we include everything that used to be the domain of the woman, isn't that going to make women feel purposeless and depressed and nihilistic and maybe more likely to get on medication to deal with it? Isn't that going to be a problem? Because, like, I think that people like Manifestelle, they seem to think that what people want is to be completely comfortable, like never have a job, never have to worry about making money or creating value in some way or growing something, and taking care of their children and cleaning themselves and taking showers and baths and vacuuming the floor, like mowing the lawn, tending their gardens. She seems to think that people like don't want that at all, and all they want to do is get out of doing any work and just being like essentially on the couch eating bonbons watching the Days of Our
Well,
Lives.
girly.
Yeah, and that what I'm saying is that because there's the iron law of woke projection, she is telling us what the life she wants, and she's saying this is what all women want because it's what she wants. But what ultimately she doesn't seem to get is, and I think this is really sad for her, you don't really want that. Like people will say, "Oh man, it'd be great if I didn't have to work." But I think you would find that without a purpose, it doesn't have to be a job, but without some purpose, without some meaning where you're like, I'm here because my children depend on me. I'm here because my family depends on me, whatever, right? My father, my mother, my siblings. I'm here to serve the society, assuming that the society likes me back. And men are losing that meaning because they are essentially living in a culture that is hostile towards them for being men, and they're like working to live, but they're not exactly like doing it in service to something. Like they don't see that as important, and it's not their fault. It is what happened. Like we have taken them for granted, and they're reacting accordingly, in my opinion. But now women, like these spoiled girlies, these what do they call it? The female dating strategy types, which I think she is one of. They're basically like, well, my goal is to basically sit on my ass all day and have a man take care of me. And then I'm like going to be completely safe and comfortable. And maybe I'll have some kids with him, but I'm not going to put that high on my list. And so it's like, well, then you are not serving anybody. I mean, you're not even really serving yourself because you're going to remain weak and unable to essentially do anything if your situation changes for the worse. Like if your husband loses a job or he dies on the job or something, or he cheats on you or he divorces you, like then you're like going to have no ability to do anything, and you have done nothing to essentially like serve your community. And it's not like the society is hostile towards women, so there's actually a reason for them to be like, I think I want to give back to the society that is, like loving on me so much for just being a woman. But of course, they're convinced that the opposite is true and that they're actually oppressed and in constant danger. So, yeah, I just think it's going to be disastrous. I think that if you want to like be super depressed, try to like get away from any and all meaning, essentially.
Well, okay. I'm trying to find You're right. This is about believing that the ultimate utopia is one with no struggle and no strife. And I think I honestly think this must have some element to do with the fact that women, they evolved to take care of infants, and the ability to completely tend to every single need an infant has is the ultimate goal, right? And maybe that's what she sees and somehow is projected on herself as like the infant in the scenario, as opposed to the adult. Like, and I totally agree. Like having nothing to live up to, nothing to stand for, nothing to strive for. What's the point of your life?
Yeah, for sure.
What is the point of your life?
Mm-hmm.
Are you just going to spend your entire life in this state of wanting to be placed in suspension You know, I just reminded of Lindsay Sterling. I think it's Lindsay Sterling, the violin Shatter Me. Like she talks about being put in a snow globe, you know, and she wants to be shattered open so that she can live. It's like, is that too?
Gross.
Yeah, no, no.
No,
the
it's just
snow-
like
she
go
wants
ahead.
the snow globes shattered open because she's imprisoned in it. Not her, like the
Oh.
snow globe. What she's imprisoned in. Okay, I'm not doing any kind of gore thing. But it just reminds me of that. And it's like, do you want to actually live? Like, why do you even have a life? Like when I listen to people, I mean, yes, what she says offends me about men because I care about men, you know, and not just that. I feel that caring about men has improved my understanding of myself and my capabilities. So I find it personally beneficial. It's not necessarily the only reason why I do it. It's just sort of like an emergent property. And I look at a life like this and I'm like, you know, no matter what you end up obtaining, no matter who you manage to get picked by the perfect man, your life is just worthless. It sucks. I mean, that's what it looks like. There's
Yep.
no adventure to it. There's no striving. There's no self-reliance. Like it's just
There's no
suck.
growth.
There's no
Like-
growth. It's just pure, unadulterated suck. That's that what you want?
Hedonism.
It's
Yeah.
not even at some point. How is it hedonism if it doesn't make you happy? Because that's the thing. People sort of
Well, I think you can be hedonistic to the point where it does actually destroy your soul because, you know, if you're only doing what you want in the moment all the time, which is a hedonist, then it will, in a very short amount of time, reveal to you that you should have been, you know, challenging yourself in some way because now you're just, you know, fat, or you have disease, or you have a STD or something because you indulged just for the sake of it because you wanted to. And I think it can destroy you. I think that you need like to reward yourself. So I'm not saying you shouldn't enjoy anything, but I think that if you treat it as a reward, you're going to get more out of it, or at least you feel like you earned it. Because I mean, I don't like getting handouts. So maybe I'm speaking from like personal experience. I despise it. It makes me feel like I'm in somebody's pocket. I can't stand the idea of owing somebody. So, and I think that that's because I'd rather earn my keep. I'd rather earn my place because then I feel better about it because I'm like, okay, I tried to do this and I did well, and then, you know, now it's done, as opposed to just gimme, because I think that you don't value anything. When everything comes easy, you don't value anything.
Yeah. And
So-
honestly, your life is the value you put into it, and she's putting no value into her life. Like,
Yeah.
this is just, I guess she's achieved this freaking YouTube channel. Congrats. But yeah, it's just like, I think it's a fundamental disconnect. Maybe it's just a fundamental disconnect of values. Like for me, if I haven't achieved something new in a day, if I haven't moved towards one of my goals, which I set myself, you know, I don't like, I don't feel happy. I'm not happy. I don't feel fulfilled. You know, I don't feel content. I feel like I want to get these things done. I want to have something that I'm striving for. And maybe you can just live like this with nothing but your own comfort as your guide stone. Well, you won't achieve anything.
Yep. And look, I think that even in Manifestelle's case here, you could say that these videos are labor, but they're not really. Like, she just sort of sits there and, you know,
I
fucking
guess she researches those
pontificates.
rules.
Yeah, she gets that, but then like she might have people doing all this stuff for her, you know, when all she has to do is put on her makeup, put on her outfit, sit in front of her white wall, and start recording from her laptop. And I'm not saying that it's easy, but I'm saying that it's not like this is really hard work. And she probably gets a lot of money. I mean, she's got sponsors. She's got hundreds of thousands of subs.
Who the fuck sponsors
She does. She gets sponsors. I don't know. Like, if sponsors don't care. If you're big enough, they will, you know, they want you to plug them. So, But I think she did when we did one of her response video. I think she did something to do. It was like a VPN, and then she probably did like one for makeup or something girly. So it's all about what fits. But anyway, all right. Let's see what was this. Is this the next bit here? Yeah, it's coming up. Okay, play more.
When it comes to the mental load, one of the biggest complaints that women have typically is that their partner will say, just tell me what to do. Tell me what to do and I'll do it. And that in itself is obviously a mental load, but not only is it a mental load, it's very frustrating because oftentimes they have said what they need or what to do. They've said, hey, it'd be really helpful if every day you emptied the dishwasher or if you could get the kids ready. And then what happens is the partner either forgets, doesn't know how to do it, continues to ask how to do it, or requires their partner to tell them every single time. So they can't just tell them one time, they have to tell them.
All right, so she's complaining about men because sometimes men forget stuff. Maybe it's because they have like other things on their mind. I don't know. You know? Are you there? Oh, are you talking? I can't hear you. Christ. Let me go to the next time code while you figure out your audio situation. Let me see. Yeah, I got the red. Oh, what?
Yeah, this is again the it's a here you go. How's that?
Yeah, I can hear you. There's a little bit of like weird like lag between when you talk and when your mouth moves, but that's okay. Maybe it'll fix itself.
Still a problem? Is it still a problem now?
Yeah. There's like it's not, your camera's fine, but there's like a delay from when you say something and then when your camera says something. You know what I mean? Your lips and voice are out of sync.
I have to change it to the AirBook microphone. Is that working better?
Same thing. I don't know
Same
what
thing.
it is, but same delay. Yes, the sound is different, but the delay is the same.
I could not even begin.
And now I can't hear you.
All right, you should be able to hear me. I returned it to the Rode microphone.
All right, let me do a refresh. Let me try refreshing your camera really quick. And maybe that's all it needs. Okay, go ahead and say something.
Something.
Okay, yep, it's good.
All right, that's good.
All right, it's been an adventure.
It's been an adventure. That's a good way of putting it. It's been an adventure, and we have endeavored to keep on. Okay, so. Oh, by the way, somebody said they were going to report us.
I don't think that's real.
Yeah.
They're just trolling. Was it it might have been in the vertical chat when they said it.
Yeah, it's in the vertical chat. That's
probably a random person came across and they were like, I'm reporting this channel by Bullhorn Betty. Well, okay, Betty, report us. We'll see what happens. It is potentially the cost of being famous. So people want to cancel you.
Except we're not particularly famous, but
maybe it'll make us famous. I don't know. All right. Anyway, what was I go? Oh yeah. Did you want to say anything about that? Because I paused it and then you had the camera problem. So this was. Do you want me to play that clip again?
No, it's okay. I remember. Yeah. Essentially, she's upset because women need to tell their husbands what they want them to do. Okay. I'm done with this.
It's mental load.
I am done with. Ladies, you need to start embracing some stoicism. And that means that when there's something that needs to be done, you take a personal sense of satisfaction in doing it. And you don't want anyone else to do it because that takes away your personal satisfaction in doing it. Because this is getting aggravating. I am watching women destroy their relationships, destroy any possibility of intimacy over this endless resentment towards men. Shut up and do the work if you want it done. And if you don't want to do it yourself, then let him do it in whatever way that he's going to do it, right? And if it's more important to you that it gets done, then you do it. And if you want to, if it's not, just go through the list and decide what is not important for you to do and don't do it. And if it is important to you, then it's important to you. and don't drag other people into what's important to you. And the other thing is that they keep offloading stuff, and none of it, like you were saying, Brian, none of it's making them happy. No amount of indulging women in this resentment is making women happy. It's making them more and more resentful. So I usually, like, I'm a little skepticism about the pickup artists, but I'm beginning to wonder if all of this isn't a shit test. And she simply wants her husband to say, no, I do the work. You decide what chores need to get done. You do them. If you want me to do chores, I will decide what chores need to get done. Now, that is it. Case closed. Moving on. Like, and this is the thing, like, and again, this is hard for men. It's hard for men to put their foot down with their wives. It's even harder in a society where there's absolutely no cultural framework for women to actually listen to men, which I think is what they really mean by submit. And incidentally, the submit to men thing, every single major religion that I have studied has it. Shintoism, Hinduism, Confucianism, Islam, Christianity, Judaism, Roman Greek paganism, Norse paganism, Amerindian paganism, all of it. You see a civilization of any worth where people aren't just scrumming in dirt to survive, they have that same edict. And I honestly believe that all it is giving men a chance to be listened to and trusted, right? But anyway, the point is, if you want him to do the chores, give him the control over them. Because this is where men are at now. They go to work and they're told what to do. They go home and they're told what to do. And then their wives divorce them because they're too subservient and boring. I'm telling you guys, you're married, you start on this treadmill. No, if you want me to do those chores, I'm going to have control over where and when and how much. And you will not. The end. Full stop. Good night.
So I got a Rumble rant from OIC for $1 that I forgot to read from earlier. And he says, women are not allowed into philosophy. Lol, women are NPCs. All right. So let's play the next bit. This is the last soundbite or sound clip I have. So she doesn't ever really address. Essentially, what she does is, just to summarize, she brings up these things that feminists have written about. She even quotes Naomi Wolf, who doesn't write about feminism anymore, as far as I know, and essentially builds the case that women have more mental load because they raise children and take care of the household. And she also claims, and that's what this clip is going to be, that they make better leaders, and men don't have to do any of those things. They just have to work a job. And apparently that is a lot less stressful. And of course, they're not dads. They don't do their part in maintaining a home. They don't pay for everything. They're not net tax contributors or anything like that. They're not the ones that have to have everything together before they even attract a woman to begin with. No, none of that. It's all women's labor. Like, women are essentially propagandizing themselves into believing that everything that women do as a biological consequence of being female, like having children, is seen as an inconvenience. That's how they're phrasing this now. Being a mom is inconvenient, and it's all because of these things that change the landscape of family and jobs and the economy, etc., without considering that women were part of the reason why that happened. But it's like they're literally they're acting in a way that is contradictory to their nature, and they're miserable. It's no surprise. But anyway, let's play this clip about leadership. Let's see if do you have sound still?
Yeah, I just
Okay.
want to point out that unfortunately with this angle, you're going to see a lot of hand action.
That's all right. That's all right. I also liked Spectre Man's arch nemesis, Dr. Gory, who also used his hands a lot when he talked. Probably from Sicily. I'm just guessing. Okay.
In a study conducted by Dr. Alice Eagley, a scholar on the topic of women's leadership, she had found that women make better leaders because women tend to be more transformational leaders. That compared to their male counterparts, women leaders were more found to seek to develop others and listen more effectively, in addition to generally thinking more outside the box. And very
Okay, just pausing for the banana. Just going to get into some things about
the professor who is in charge of finding how women are superior to men has found
that women are indeed superior to men.
I'm guessing if I looked at this scholarship, I would be able to poke it apart very easily, remarkably easily. And I'm actually curious if this isn't just either her citing herself or her being her own subject or her selecting a pool. But like in a study conducted, that's really nebulous. Let me see if I can find it. But let's continue with what she has.
Yeah, you got to hear this great shout out that she does for an organization that we all have a lot of respect for and admire very much.
Oh, wait. Actually, here's a
various
thought.
reports.
Here's a thought before we continue. So what makes women better leaders is the stereotypical feminine behavior traits that are attributed to them. Therefore, they evince because of patriarchy. Well, okay. So women are better leaders because of patriarchy. That's an interesting.
That's one way to look at it. Okay, let's play this clip.
Reports, including the World Economic Forum's Future of Jobs report, also state that the top skills needed to be successful leaders of tomorrow are emotional intelligence, empathy, listening skills, coaching and mentoring, and innovation and creativity.
Oh,
Not only that,
all right. Coaching and mentoring. Women don't do that. They don't coach and they don't mentor. In
Also,
fact, this is
whose report was that? Can we go back? I just want to show you. This is Leaders of Tomorrow. Okay. Let me see.
women leaders were more found to seek to develop others and listen more effectively, in addition to generally thinking more outside the box. And various reports, including the World Economic Forum's Future of Jobs report, also
The World Economic Forum Future of Jobs report. You know the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab, Eat the Bugs, Live in the Pod. These people were trying to create a global government. They believe in sustainability goals, reducing the population, not themselves, mind you, just the plebes. She's reading their reports, and that's where she's getting her. And that's why they would say things like emotional intelligence and empathy, because they are like the globalist feminist organization, like they are. And they're always talking about women, and they're always giving money to women's causes and whatnot and building them up. So WEF, that's right. It's the WEF. She's quoting them as a source. So I wonder if they're paying her now that we think about it.
I just took a look at this, at least the report of the named female scientist. These are attitudes that these women leaders are apparently reporting on a study. So women say they are more interested in mentoring others. In reality, women don't mentor at all. Like, seriously, no. Like, this is something they have a problem with, and that does not help by pretending it doesn't exist. A study in mentorship and science found that women don't mentor other women. Women don't mentor, younger male scientists. It's only older male scientists that are mentoring younger male scientists. And possibly part of the reason why they're not mentoring young female scientists is because of the Me Too stuff, maybe, right? So this is an issue that women have. And pretending like a self-reporting study in which women say, oh, of course, I think it's vitally important for me to mentor others and nurture them, while their actual actions say the opposite, does nothing except continue to perpetuate the problem. We need to tell women the things that they have problems with, that they stumble at. And we need to tell them, you need to work more on this. All right? You need to work more on this. We don't have to say, hey, don't do it. We just say, this is a flaw. You need to work on it. Okay? You need to put effort into it to improve that failure and turn it into a success. And the funny thing is that while I've talked to a lot of people about bosses, most people say that their worst boss was a woman. But there's a lot of people who also say that their best boss was a woman for whatever reason. So maybe when women work on these problems, they can actually become pretty good bosses, right? But you need to acknowledge the problem. You need to realize that you need to put effort into solving the problem, and then you need to make it happen. And you don't do that by just blowing smoke up of women's asses with this crap.
Yep. All right, so I'm going to play the rest. This is the last time code, but it's probably the best one. So we'll play the rest of this. It's a little bit long. I'll have to stop it a few times, or we could just play it through. Manifestelle, please don't. Huh?
She doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, she doesn't care. She's making her money no matter what.
No, and I don't even think she gives a fuck about the things she's saying. She's getting a paycheck to tell women to destroy their lives. And this is what astounds me. I'm going to go a little segue. This is what astounds me about conservatives and the Republican Party. They're constantly on about immigration. It is increasing the party of single women. That's the real problem. That's where the majority of Democratic voters are coming from. And I'm not even saying this is like having, okay, honestly, one side is doing a threat narrative that's really dangerous. So I can't say I support them in any capacity, but let's leave it that way. This is an outside observer's opinion. Where the Democrats' power is coming from, not just immigrants and probably lesser immigrants, it is the party of single women. And women like Manifestelle are ensuring more and more and more and more of them, while also ensuring those women opt out of the one thing that is going to make them the most likely thing to make them happy in their life, which is a successful relationship with an adult human of the opposite sex. Right? That's what's going to likely make you happy. That is the biggest causal factor to happiness. And she's telling these women that instead of just not settling, but realizing the benefit of having a man and just getting on with your life, right? Instead of doing that, she's basically putting all of these conditions on whether or not she'll actually respect you when you choose a man for your life. So, and God knows, I am deeply motivated by Manifestelle's respect. Like seriously, ladies, you're listening to her to your detriment, but to the benefit of very large forces that have no interest in your happiness, your contentment, your fulfillment, or your lives. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's on purpose. I think it's to create more voters, honestly. But okay, so let's play the rest of this clip, and it's like I said, it's going to take maybe a minute or two.
State that the top skills needed to be successful leaders of tomorrow are emotional intelligence, empathy, listening skills, coaching and mentoring, and innovation and creativity. Not only that, but research has also revealed that women tend to be better at using these soft skills than men. And if you're not convinced, let science make the case for women even more. A study by the University of Southern California found that under high-stress situations, men tend to behave riskier than women, often causing negative impacts and costly outcomes. That is because men and women respond to the rise of cortisol.
Wait, go back a bit. What was the name of that study?
Acute stress increases sex differences in risk seeking in the balloon analog risk task. I mean, I think that's probably true. I think that men are more likely to take risks because they're they're less risk averse or less afraid. And unfortunately, the truth is that some of the great discoveries we've made is because people were willing to take risks. And so therefore, most of those people were probably men just because of their nature. So I don't think it's untrue, but she's basically trying to imply that because men are more likely to be risk takers, that is bad. Again, she's living in the lap of luxury in a world built by men who took risks historically. And she's like, well, this is proof that women would be better. But if women were in charge, we would never take risks to the same degree, so we wouldn't progress as much. I mean, that'd be my guess anyway. Allison, you're muted again. I can't hear you.
Sorry.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I
What?
should be back. Let me just
I hear you.
I know. I'm just going to reduce how many freaking things
Are plugged in, are fighting
yeah.
for power, vying
Yeah.
for influence, attention.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. I'm just going to do something here, and hopefully this might assist things. Okay, let's see what's going on. I really wish my everything didn't go to shit. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
My apologies, but apparently my entire setup just decided to crap out today. Let's see what we got here. No, this is the correct one. Yep. Okay. It's not showing up. But I did take a look at this. I didn't find this one, but I did find a different one. Sex differences in the effect of ultimatum game.
You're going to send it to me or something, or do you just want to?
Sure, we can take a look at this, but I can read the abstract as well. I'll send it to you via Discord. There you go. So acute stress affects human decision making, and what they found in this, we induce stress via the Tier social stress test, and then immediately after measured how participants reacted to two offers made in the ultimatum game by a male proposer. We found that the female participants was less likely to reject offers under stress, n equals 25, versus no stress, n equals 37, independent of how fair these offers were. Cooperative behavior consistent with the tend and befriend hypothesis. Male participants, when stressed, did not show differences in rejection rates compared to the control condition. Incidentally, men tended not to reject unfair offers. Again, they were fine with $25, even if somebody else got 50. But women tended to actually accept those offers, more unfair offers, when stressed. Men didn't show any result at all. So this is an effect under stress. Men are more consistent in their decision making, and essentially they just continue to accept offers, lowball offers, even if someone benefits more. Whereas women go from absolutely refusing a lowball offer if somebody benefits more, so I'm not going to take $25 if you get 50, to being like, oh yeah, I guess I will take $25 even if you get 50, if it's more stress, if they're under more stress. Which, I don't know if that really reflects well on women. I'm still trying to find the one that she referenced. I'll just put in balloon, see if that will. Balloon.
What's balloon?
In risk-seeking, acute stress instances in risk-seeking in the balloon analog risk task.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, this is what she's talking about. Acute stress amplifies sex differences in risk-seeking, making women more risk-avoidant and men more risk-seeking. Evolutionary principles may explain these stress-induced sex differences in risk-taking behavior. So this study is pretty neutral, but it's pretty clear as well. Like when you put women under stress, they become more cloistered, more wanting to withdraw. Men apparently want to risk more. They go out, they hunt the bear, right?
I mean, yeah, it's like,
how does this?
We have testicles, which gives us testosterone, which gives us like the confidence and the wherewithal to like do something crazy, like hunt a monster, an animal, and bring it back. I mean, it's just evolution. I thought these people believed in science.
Okay, so I'm looking. Okay, so that basically they just found that men are more likely to take risks, and these differences amplify under stress.
Yeah, and that like essentially what Manifestelle is doing is she's sort of like cherry picking the study to say, look, when men are in a stressful situation,
She's
they
adding
act
the risk.
more. They're adding more. They act more recklessly, which could, and she even says it could or is
Could.
more likely or often,
Could is doing
which
a
is
lot of work there.
yeah, exactly. Could cause harm, and it's like, yeah, but it also gets things done. Like everything, like again, women they talk about risk like it shouldn't exist, but it just does. Like you're sitting there making your video, you are putting yourself in some danger. There could be a fire, or somebody could break in, or it could
Or
just
a pair,
yeah,
or a pair of ne'er do wells could start picking it apart.
yeah, right, or yeah, like us, right, exactly. This is risk. This is emotional labor for you. Anyway, all right, let me play the rest of the clip.
California found that under high stress situations, men tend to behave riskier than women, often causing negative impacts and costly outcomes.
Ooh, that
because
study
men
didn't
and
find
women
that.
respond to the rise of cortisol differently, with research showing that a woman's brain can manage cortisol levels more effectively, allowing her to respond with more grace under pressure. So maybe instead of commending a woman for responding elegantly to a highly stressful situation and pinning it all on her women's intuition, let's call it for what it is: intelligence.
All right, that's the last clip. So
Okay, all right. There's a bit more. I could probably read it instead of listening to her anymore.
is this the sex differences and the effects of acute stress, or the balloon thing?
Well, we already covered the balloon thing. It doesn't look like any part of the conclusion did they test the idea that men's greater risk taking results in more damage or destruction or anything. It could just result in a solution to the problem at hand. But regardless, like if a problem requires a decision that it lies outside the norm, that's a risk. And this actually what comes to mind is the World Trade Center, right? During when the first plane hit.
9/11 reference coming, guys. That was only like a few days ago,
Sorry, guys. I'm not saying. Yeah. Do you need to say
jet fuel can't melt steel beams. I don't think that I don't think we're gonna get dinged for that.
Soon?
This was like 20 years ago, so yeah, 23 years ago.
So, but when that happened, and there was actually it's really interesting to read some of the testimonials from the second tower, because the people were in that tower and they witnessed this happen, and there was all kinds of discussion on what they needed to do. Right? Unfortunately, the building management told them to stay put, which was exactly the wrong thing. But there was like, people are like, oh, we must be in like the safest place in the world now because, this, how could that ever happen again? Right. And people were basically they were frozen in place because they didn't know how to respond to it. It's not within your vocabulary. You don't know what to do in that circumstance. Right. And the logic of, well, that's a really unlikely event. So it's really unlikely it's going to happen again to our tower. It's persuasive. It's a persuasive logic. But there were men, specifically men, in the C-suite, that is the executive suite, right? The ones who are in charge of taking risks, who saw this and immediately started to tell people, we're leaving. Because that was a risk. People didn't know that it was a risk to stay because they were thinking, oh, hey, what is the likelihood another plane will hit our tower, huh? But these guys said, no, we're going. There's something fundamentally wrong about this. There is a reason why that tower was targeted, and we need to leave. And those guys got everyone out because they took the risk of embarrassment, the risk of delaying everybody's work, they took the risk of being blamed for doing something stupid against what the building authority was saying. But they did it, and they were getting people out, and they were still getting people out when the second plane hit. That's risk taking. That's risk taking is why many women survived the World Trade disaster or terrorist attack. Okay? That's why it matters. Because when you're in a situation where there's no scheme, there's no explanation, there's no pattern that you can follow, you need people who can break the pattern. And those are the risk takers, right? This is bullshit, what she's saying. 100% bullshit.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's what I wanted to say about that. Okay, and the other thing is that she constantly refers to it being something that's put on men the way women are. So patriarchy is responsible for all of these supposed benefits that women have. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like men are gatekeeping women's thoughts. Well, doesn't that mean that men are responsible for women's greater empathy and everything else?
They're responsible for whatever they let through.
Good?
Like, yeah, they
exactly. But then she starts talking about how, let's see. Okay, so we're talking nurture nature, and this acknowledgement, I'm quoting Manifestelle here, that women aren't actually less than men shouldn't even stop in the workplace, okay? In our relationships, we should also work on dispelling the idea that men are the logical ones, okay? Like men are not.
Why are you reading the okays?
They just have more empathy.
So we know it's her voice.
Yes. And the man is giving the woman, okay, logic, okay, on why she shouldn't be feeling a certain way, okay? And he is not understanding why she is that certain way, okay? That doesn't mean that he's more logical. Okay, I'll stop.
Like, make it make sense.
When she's being more emotional, that simply just means that he's lacking empathy. Okay, so there are two types of empathy, right? There's cognitive empathy and there's emotional empathy. Now, cognitive empathy is when you fundamentally understand why a person is feeling a certain way. For example, if someone were to die, you can logically understand why they are feeling a certain way, right? Or if you get slapped in the face and the person gets mad, and you can understand why they feel in that way, right? That's logical, right? So if your man isn't fundamentally understanding why they're feeling a certain way, that doesn't mean he's more logical why you're feeling a certain way. It's the opposite. Okay, but what about women? What if they don't fundamentally understand why men feel a certain way? Like, it's funny because I've watched shows where women have said, I've looked at the opinions of women on the male characters in the show, and they were like, oh, they were so devoid of any emotion. Like, for example, one example I'm thinking is Deckard in Blade Runner, the original Blade Runner, played by Harrison Ford. I'm like watching that entire movie, and I'm like, holy man, this guy's deeply vulnerable, you know, scared most of the time while he's doing this thing. And you can see it on his face. There's all this incredibly tumultuous emotion going on. And I go and I read women's comments and like, oh, the main character was so stoic. It was so boring. He didn't have emotions. I'm like, what? Are you face blind? I mean, realistically, a lot of women, young girls between the ages of 9 to 17, having gone through the last 5 years, are now face blind. But it's like, you didn't notice how much he was emoting? What did you want him to do? Cry and wail and gnash his teeth and pull his hair out? You could see it. And I was like astounded that these female audience didn't even see that. And I know I'm using an example, but I think it's a legitimate example in this case. Now, emotional empathy, this is quoting Manifestelle. Now, emotional empathy is when you are empathizing with a person because you are feeling the exact same way. For example, if one died in a TV show, a character died and all the other characters are crying, you start crying too. You are empathizing with them because you are feeling the exact same emotion that they are feeling, which is grief, blah, blah, blah. You understand why they are feeling that same way. So the next time your man say that you're being illogical and emotional, tell him no, you are being illogical because you cannot logically understand why I'm feeling a certain emotion.
Do you want to play that time code? Where is that at?
It's at 29:53.
Oh, so I was like, yeah, okay, I was getting close to it. Sorry, I just got too upset with her. All right, I'll play it now.
Well, I gave you a break then. You can hear her words coming out of my mouth. I don't know if that helped. We're not hearing it. I'm not. It's on the wrong.
You don't. Oh, I'm not sharing the tab. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's
Let me
okay.
go back a little bit. 29:33.
Logical, right?
53.
Your man isn't
53.
understanding why you are feeling a certain way. are empathizing with them because you are feeling the exact same emotion that they are feeling, which is grief, which is loss, because you are feeling the same
Oh,
way.
it wasn't her. It was somebody else.
Same way. So the next time your man say you are being illogical and emotional, tell him no, you are being illogical because you cannot logically understand why I am feeling a certain emotion. Remember, emotion is
Actually,
two different things, right? Also, empathy and logic. Empathy is not an emotion. Empathy is the understanding of emotion. Always remember that.
okay, this is something that I've noticed with women. They can feel, and it's something I've also, fallen prey to myself. You can feel bad about something that you've done or something else, and then it can come out in a completely different situation, and it's totally unfair. So you're not, the emotion isn't related to the activity that's just taken place, right? Your partner isn't responsible for this shitty thing that you're accusing them of. You actually feel bad because you failed a deadline or you've eaten an extra donut or some other stupid thing, and you're taking it out on your partner, right? Is there any acknowledgement that this often happens? Okay, and also women can make men responsible for their emotions when they can't possibly be responsible for your emotions. They're yours. Oh, wait, I forgot. Men gatekeep women's brains.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We're all up in their brains, making them feel things.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, so let's,
what?
well, so this is all predicated on the idea that men have less empathy than women. Okay.
So you want to go to the other study that the this academic .com thing? Are women more empathetic than men?
Okay, no, let's just let her go. Let's keep going with her.
All
And
right,
I'm going to be
all right, let's
quick,
keep going.
quiet.
All right.
I love that. Empathy is understanding of emotions. So if you don't have empathy, you don't have understanding, you're not being logical. Let's get into the comments.
It's always
Wait. No, wait a minute. No. I'm sorry, but that doesn't actually, like, understanding that you are upset, that is just that. But, like, it's what comes next. Like, okay, so then if you're just like, well, I'm mad at you, and you're supposed to just understand that I'm mad at you, even though and you're probably saying, well, why are you mad at me? Well, I don't have to answer that because you're not being logical. I'm upset. That means it's, it's like, I feel a certain way, therefore it's justified. Like, there is nothing you can do to, like, understand it, fix it. You just have to leave. Like, that's what you have to do. You have to just get up as a man, and you have to go to the other room and just do something else because it's a trap. It's just a trap. It's like, understand how I'm feeling, otherwise I'm going to call you illogical. What? Sorry, Allison. Go ahead. What were you going to say? Oh, I can't hear you.
I was muted. I was muted this time.
Okay.
It's okay.
All right.
Nothing imploded. Understand and validate my emotions, but not your own. Like, I don't have to actually extend myself to understand how you might be feeling put upon by my anger. Usually it's anger that they're talking about here. Validate my emotions, or you aren't logical. You don't have emotional intelligence. If men did this
that's
to
abusive.
women,
That's just straight up abusive to me.
yeah, if men did this to women, we would call it abuse. And it would be justified in calling it abuse. It's justified in calling it abuse here, too.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep going.
All right.
you're too emotional and can't think logically. Never, I lack the emotional intelligence to empathize with you. Emotion and logic are not opposites. Emotions are quite logical once you understand them. Ignoring them is illogical.
So before you accept that you're just not logical enough, you're too emotional whenever you bring up perfectly valid issues, I want you to question whether logic and emotional intelligence actually are mutually exclusive. You have to have emotional intelligence to make logical decisions. Those two things are not mutually exclusive. And unfortunately, even with all this data supporting women's intelligence, it still stands that women's intelligence today is still overlooked and downplayed. Like, oh, it's intuition.
Well, really, Brian, the fact that we have a professor of finding women as more intelligent than men, that's That means that we have an entire branch of academic study devoted to proving that women are more intelligent than men. That certainly means that women's intelligence is overlooked. Or it means that somebody has a bit of a self-confidence issue, shall we say, or a group of people.
Yeah.
Let's finish this off. Finish
All
it
right,
off.
let's finish this off.
Intelligence. Like, men are more logical. Women are so emotional. Meanwhile, men do the most irrational things ever out of ego, out of stress, out of not
Irrational.
perceiving the whole
Yes,
situation.
yes, it's irrational, isn't it? I mean, the safest place in the world is the Second World Trade building. After the first one's been hit with a airplane, what's the likelihood that that's going to happen again? It's totally illogical. Totally illogical to tell people to evacuate.
Okay, Allison, we're on a list now.
Yeah, I know.
All right, play some more.
Okay? Men are the heads of household, meanwhile not knowing how to run one. Like, give me a break. Okay, this is not what we would expect from the born leaders. So that all.
Do you want men to be born leaders, or do you not want men to be born leaders? This is what I don't understand about women with this particular They want to judge men for not having the traits of born leaders, while have men tell them that they're equal. That men and women are equal. So they want to hold men to a higher standard, but still have men say, "Oh yeah, we're equal to women." Seems a little illogical, and also unempathetic. Funny that.
Yep. All right, do you want to keep playing?
Oh, let me see whether there's anything. Oh, God, she really witters a lot. You know what? I'm good. Because all of this is based on bullshit. And I'm going to show you right now. We're going to go through it. If Brian can put it up.
Yeah, what do you want me to put up right now?
The empathy study.
Okay.
Because this is it. This is the actual situation when it comes to empathy.
All right, well, I have it up. Can you see it?
Yep, I can see it. All right, this is, are women more empathetic than men? Questionnaire and EEG estimations of sex gender differences in empathetic ability. Right? Do you want me to read it or show?
Yeah,
just
sure. Go ahead. I mean, like, you want to just do the abstract?
Or I can, yeah, put the abstract up. I'll read it. Okay, guys, remember, we've just had almost 2 hours of this woman making all kinds of assumptions based on the idea that men are less empathetic than women. So everything that she said is utter bullshit. Abstract. The debate regarding whether women are more empathetic than men has broad scientific, social, and clinical implications. However, previous independent questionnaires and brain imaging studies that tested different samples reported inconsistent results regarding sex gender differences in empathetic ability. We conducted 3 studies to investigate sex gender differences in empathetic ability. It's a bit difficult for me to read the abstract while you're moving around.
I'm sorry. I just want to make the whole thing fit. So, all right. Sorry.
We conducted 3 studies to investigate sex gender differences in empathetic ability using large sample questionnaires and electroencephalography EEG measures. We showed that the estimation of empathetic ability using the interpersonal reactivity index questionnaire showed higher rating scores in women than in men in all studies. However, our EEG measures of empathy, indexed by both phase-locked and non-phase-locked neural responses to others' painful versus neutral facial expressions, support a null hypothesis of the sex-gender difference in empathetic ability. Translation, women are not more empathetic than men. They aren't. It's been an artifact of women saying they're more empathetic than men. In addition, we showed evidence that priming social expectations of women and men's ability to share and care about others' feelings eliminated the sex-gender difference in questionnaire measures of empathetic ability. So essentially what they did is they do something like it's manly to understand other people's emotions. And then they would ask men, do you understand other people's, and the sex difference disappears. You just have to prime them to have it not be in contradiction to their identity. And of course, it becomes consistent with the readings of brain scans. Our large sample EEG results challenge the notion of women's superiority in empathy that is built on subjective questionnaire measures that are sensitive to social desirability. Our findings indicate that whether the notion of women's superiority and empathetic ability reflects a biological social difference between women and men or a gender role stereotype remains an open question. I think it's actually pretty much a closed question. The closed question is whether or not men or women are more empathetic. The truth is, women are not more empathetic than men. The full stop. They're not more empathetic than men. Now, I also sent another thing to you. Let's look at whether or not women are more capable.
The 70-year cognitive puzzle that still divides the sexes.
Yes.
I'll read this one. Curtain open. It's called the WLT, or short for water level task. I want to introduce it to you by asking you to attempt it. And please don't look ahead to the answer. Figure A shows... What?
Yeah, let's put our audience to the test. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they could answer this, but let's see. I mean, they can't draw a line. That's the thing.
Yeah, but they can tell us approximately what the line would look like.
Yeah, they can tell you what it would look like. Okay. So it says, figure A shows a glass with some water in it, right here. Figure B, the glass has been tilted. Draw a line to show where the water line should be. Seems like pretty straightforward.
Pretty straightforward. Let's not tell anybody the answer. You guys just look at that. Try to figure it out.
Draw a line to show where.
Just imagine a glass full of water and then just tilt it, 45 degrees. And what does the water line look like? Okay. What is its approximate direction? All right. Let's keep going.
All right. Have you done it? Please do if you didn't, and show your answer in the comments section. All right. If the line you drew is anything other than horizontal, you answered wrong. Duh. I wouldn't go into the physics of why liquids follow gravity instead of the orientation of their container, as there are @STEAM STEM authors who can do a better job of that. Thing is, if you can read, then you should have enough real life experience to know that it's invariably what happens. You'd never be able to drink a glass of water by tilting the glass if the water level followed the bottom of the glass like some kind of jelly. Females disproportionately give this wrong answer to this puzzle, give the wrong answer. In their efforts to level the results, the researchers tried using photos instead of schematics, using a container with rounded sides so that there will be less interference with the horizontal water line, having the water lines pre-drawn and just asking the participants which line looked correct, and just generally making it easier and easier. It didn't matter. After decades of variations of the puzzle, a significantly higher proportion of female adults and adolescents still draw a slanting line. For fairness, I must mention that not all interventions are failures. So,
this is the go back up. I want to read the intervention that finally worked. The intervention that finally worked to get women to understand what happens to water levels in a tilted glass is this. Thomas, Jameson, and Hummel demonstrated that when previously inaccurate college women were allowed to view the actual water level in a bottle tilted to the same angle as the test item, they copy accurately. So you literally had to show the women the glass with the water in it and then tilt it over. And then they were like, oh, I can copy that on the test paper. And this is college women that did this. Like, unbelievable.
Adult
women. Okay, let's move on. As it says, let's move on.
All right. You won't learn a whole lot about the water level task from its Wikipedia entry. It's shorter than this post's opening section. Yeah, I bet it is. At least it mentions it was developed by Piaget, his college Inhelder's part was in this, his college Inhelder's part in this was apparently co-signed or consigned to oblivion. Those of you who know him know Piaget's work was primarily in child development. The WLT is no exception. He developed it in order to probe children's emerging spatial concepts and reasoning. It was by accident that a sharp sex division in the subject's ability to complete the task was noticed. More on this in a bit. Piaget, and then there's like 5 stages, or although 6 examples here. I don't know, but let's keep going. Piaget distinguished 5 stages in the developing ability of children to solve the puzzle. The first stage is drawing squiggly lines, basically a big middle finger pointed in the direction of the researcher. Then the lines follow the bottom of the container. Then, in the third stage, the line starts tilting as if trying to negotiate the gravity from the earth with the gravity from the bottom of the container. In the fourth stage, they figure it out in all cases where straight angles are involved, but get it wrong whenever the glass is tilted. In the fifth and final stage, they get it right. The children reached the final stage by age 9, and there was nothing to indicate that adults would have any difficulty with the task. That was until one Rebelsky, true to the rebel part of her name, came along and disturbed the waters by reporting that some of her graduate and undergraduate students had great difficulty correctly completing the task. But most importantly, in addition, Rebelsky reported that females were less accurate than males, a finding that has been replicated by virtually all subsequent researchers. Why? A number of hypotheses has been proposed as to why women underperform men so much. My favorite is socialization. If you think that
Men gatekeep women's brains.
That's what it is.
That.
Yeah, that's what it is.
It's men. It's men whispering to women in their inner ear. Don't choose the slanted line. Anything but the slanted line.
If you think that amounts to trying to explain why women have less experience with drinking glasses of water compared to men, you're right, and that's what that means. But in fact, the WLT is often used precisely to falsify the argument that large sex differences between the cognitive skills in men and women are always the result of greater experience or socialization that favors the men. The water level task exhibits large sex differences, despite the fact that every Western child, male or female, has daily experiences with fluids in transparent containers. To be fair, there is clear evidence that boys and girls have different experiences and that those experiences favor males. I don't know about that. Here's some concrete examples relating to mathematics. Girls attribute success in math to their effort. Boys attribute it to their ability. Girls attribute their failure in math to their lack of abilities. Boys attribute it to their lack of effort. Parents blame...
You remember? If you attribute your failures to effort, you're more likely to succeed.
Right. Parents blame bad math scores of their sons on bad teachers and attribute bad math scores of their daughters to lack of effort. I
have a real suspicion about that, but probably the parents aren't wrong, considering boys are graded worse, and that's proven in studies, in at least one study.
Yeah, that's true. Math teachers treat boys and girls differentially, and female math teachers make self-deprecating remarks about their own abilities. So are girls and boys differentially exposed to mathematics and spatial-related training and expectations? Sure. Can mathematical and spatial abilities be influenced by experience? And do boys get more of that experience? Certainly. I don't know about that. Is there more to this, or do you want me to read the whole thing?
I think it's pretty much done. Okay. So they just go on and on and on about it. I just wanted to point it out. I mean, they did try to do no matter what they do, women always do worse on this test. And it's a very simple test of logic and spatial awareness, I guess.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when she says, men are less empathetic, no. Women are more logical or as logical, no. At least not in this capacity. Not when it comes to spatial, spatial projection or spatial manipulation. They have trouble with it. Like, okay, so none of this is something that women as a group can claim. I mean, most women do pass this test. It's just a sizable minority that are incapable of it. So, I mean, and maybe they're all in Manifestelle's audience. Who knows? Maybe they all became feminists and they attribute their inability to truly understand systems and spatial reasoning and logic to, I guess, the little patriarchy on their shoulder that's keeping their thoughts. And what they need to do, ladies, what you need to do is you need to manifest the Mother Earth goddess on the other side, and she can whisper it. The slanted line's correct. Not correct. It's the horizontal line. You can whisper the correct answers. That's what you need to do. You need to manifest your inner Mother Earth goddess to counteract the patriarchal gatekeeping in your brain. Or you can just throw all this shit out, recognize that there are some limitations you operate under as a woman, and employ your effort to overcome them.
That's crazy.
That's crazy talk.
Yeah, I don't believe you.
I mean, that's the way I've always sort of looked at it. I mean, because there's some things that I've, Jonathan has said to point out that I do because I'm a woman and I'm still a woman. I still have, female hormones and stuff. So a lot of this stuff is something that I also have done. And it takes an effort to just stop and think and say, okay, is that logical? Is that reasonable? Is it rational? Is it just? And step away from it if it isn't. And sometimes it's just, being a mammal. And we're all mammals, so we sometimes just get feisty. It's the way of the beast. But but it's like these limitations that women operate under are just limitations. Like, they are not fate unless you refuse to acknowledge them and refuse to see them in terms of your own personal individual effort. Like, and I think that's the real problem here. That's the real socialization that's the problem, is that women think everything comes out of other people's opinions of them and innate ability, when almost everything really comes out of effort and your willingness to hold yourself to standards and strive for them. Okay.
All right.
And that's what we need to do for women and girls. And then maybe most of them will pass this test.
That's a start. I think it's a start.
Yeah.
So I got a Rumble rant from OIC for $1, and he says the water level is just a manifestation of the white male system affecting the reality that we live in, a patriarchy. Women need to reject the horizontal line to connect their solar plexuses. There you go.
You got to get astrology in there somewhere, good friend.
Yeah, like the Pisces is rising and Taurus is in, I don't know, whatever they say, it's in recession.
Retrograde.
Yeah, retrograde. There you go.
All right. Well, we have, I think we've done a good job in responding to this. So, yeah, my last statements is, this isn't destiny, but it is destiny if you refuse to acknowledge it. If you refuse to use effort to overcome it. Okay? So that's what I would say. It's probably not a welcome statement to any women that are watching this, but it's like, yeah, you can manage this stuff. You just have to be aware of it and put effort in to overcoming it. That's it.
Be humble, because men in your life might call you out, and you have to be willing to be
willing to listen. Willing to listen to them, which is I honestly think that's what really is going on with that whole submission thing. It's just giving men a chance to be heard and the way that they view the world to be seen as valid. And honestly, it is valid. There's no reason to believe that men have any less empathy, and they do have, naturally, it seems, certain skills and abilities that women don't necessarily have or don't have as consistently. And that includes greater tolerance for risk-taking, which leads to very good outcomes when you're in a situation where you have to take a risk or die. Okay? So, I mean, and it's okay. Like, it's fine that men have their own thing. We're not going to melt into oblivion if that's the case as women. And ultimately, you know, if you want to overcome limitations, then you put your effort in, and you can do that. And I think women have their own thing that they add to the world. And I could get into that, but that would be a whole other show. So I'm just going to say, let's all treat each other with excellence, but not lie about our limitations, right? And not pretend like if we all imagine something, then that it becomes so, or say bizarre things, or try to excuse the fact that our own chosen, as women, our own chosen path of not putting effort in, not recognizing potential pitfalls and putting effort in during our failures is why our outcomes aren't as good. We don't recognize that. So instead what do we do? We blame it on the patriarchal earworm that's gatekeeping our thoughts. Are you freaking kidding me? No. All right. So anyway, if you enjoy this content, please consider supporting it at feedthebadger.com/support. I want to thank Richard Bier for putting through this particular request. I thought it was an important one because there is an assumption out there, and people use this assumption to make additional stupid statements about the sexes. And the assumption is that men are less empathetic than women. No, they aren't. We now know that all of the studies, and this is something that I was actually pointing out years ago, so I'm really glad that someone did a large-scale study and proved this effect. I was pointing out that, you know, if you do reflex studies or studies that do brain imaging, you don't find any difference in empathy between men and women. And I was saying this like 10, 15 years ago. It's great to see this study now because I feel vindicated that I'm right. And they have proven that the reason why women are seen as more empathetic is because they feel it's socially desirable to be seen as more empathetic, which also ties into that whole leadership survey that that Manifestelle talked about with this professor in charge of showing women how women are more awesomes ever and always over men. You know, that actually, if you ask female leaders what do they value, they will say things that they believe are socially desirable, but they won't necessarily be doing those things at all. And in fact, they may be doing them considerably less than men. So there's a difference between these surveys that ask women to report their empathy and those surveys that actually look at empathy, that look at the brain responses, the reflexes. And those surveys or those studies show no difference. So anyway, anytime a woman speaks off about women being more empathetic, nope, they aren't. Sorry.
There you go.
You don't get to claim that for yourself. That's not an inherent ability for women. In fact, empathy is a result of taking the effort to understand other people. Have women taken a lot of effort to understand men? Don't think so. Anyway, so once again, feedthebadger.com/support. Thank you for Richard Bier for suggesting this request and the two previous other requests that we've done. We've gotten through all of them very much. And again, I think this was an important one because of that study, because I feel vindicated. I think men should feel vindicated. You're not less empathetic. Like anybody with a brain could have told you that. But yeah, and once again, we are doing a meetup in Calgary, Alberta, Canada this month, September 28th. And if you want more details on that, feedthebadger.com/events. If you want any of the resources that we talk about, please just join our Discord community. That's the easiest way for me to get you the stats because it's all in one place. And I almost daily update my resources channel for people to look at the stuff that I'm looking at. So, and then you can find that at badgernation.online. And if you afterwards you want to send us a message, feedthebadger.com/just the tip. It's a lot of stuff to remember. I'm gonna clean up the low bar so it's all there on your fingertips. But yeah, back to you, Brian.
All right. Well, before I end this thing here, I did get some super chats that for some reason aren't showing up on my social stream ninja. So I'm just gonna read them. Okay. So Pepito gives us $5 and says, it's funny how she says, how women have been gatekept out of philosophy while historical records of the Roman era. Oh, I already read that, didn't I?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. No, but no, I read the wrong Super Chow. Support for the Badger. That's what Pepito sent us. Women are born confident. Manifestelle 2024. They cry of confidence out of the womb. LOL. And then Richard Bier gives us $5 and says, when Allison is quoting Manifestelle, she needs to do so in her Raven Moon Dragon voice. I don't know if I have the page. Yeah.
No. Raven Moon Dragon is too not evil for Manifestelle.
Yeah, I know.
I need to develop like a
need a channel like Rachel Ziegler. That's the ultimate Disney villain, Rachel Ziegler. Okay, so anyway, we're gonna end it there. If you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Hit the bell for notifications, leave us a comment, let us know what you guys think about what we discussed on the show today, and please share this video because sharing is caring. Thank you guys so much for coming on the show and enduring all of our little technical issues, and we will talk to you all in the next video.
Are machines, dude. Okay, they are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.